Hello and welcome to another edition of the IceCaps Weekly Wrap. I'm Amy Johnson. Well, last weekend wrapped up the IceCaps' first homestand of the season with 4 games on the schedule last week, and it was a very good week for the IceCaps. They won 3 out of the 4 games for the week, and some of them were very strong wins by the St. John's team. Really good momentum as they head into their second road trip of the season later on this week. So looking back at last week, we started on Tuesday night. It was a Tuesday-Wednesday night back-to-back series against the Utica Comets, who came to town. Former IceCaps director of player development, director of hockey operations, Jason King, is now an assistant coach with the Utica Comets, so he had a bit of a homecoming coming back to the Rock on Tuesday and Wednesday. Tuesday night's game against Utica was an overtime win. Charlie Lindgren was in net for this one, and the IceCaps took this one 4-3 over the Utica Comets. Goals here were scored by Nikita Sherbak, who had 2 goals, one of which was on the power play. Daniel Carr also had a power play goal, and Mark Barberio had a goal. Then coming back on Wednesday night against this same team, if they didn't have a good game on Tuesday night, which it certainly was, they had an even better game on Wednesday night. This one was won in regulation time, an astounding 6-3 win over the Comets on this particular evening. And again, multiple players contributing to the score sheet. Charles Hudon had 2 goals in this game, as did Nikita Sherbak had a goal. Bobby Farnham scored a goal, Daniel Carr had another goal, and Stefan Matteau had an empty netter at the end of the game. Nikita Sherbak, as far as this game is concerned, was on a 5-game point streak and was at the top of the leaderboards in that area league-wide. Then Saturday and Sunday, the IceCaps' favorite rivals, the Toronto Marlies, came to town. And the IceCaps certainly welcomed the Marlies on Saturday night with a statement 4-1 win over the Marlies, and Charles Hudon had another goal on this night. Michael McCarron finally potted his first of the season. Great relief for him. It happened to come on the power play as well, and Sven Andrighetto had another goal. This one was also on the power play. So specialty teams, the power play units clicking really well. Penalty killers, that has slipped in the standings. What was a very good penalty kill league-wide has now slipped to about 15th, about halfway down the charts, but the power play unit is still in the top 3 or 4 in the league and working very well and looks to be very strong. Stefan Matteau also had another goal in this evening, another empty netter for him. That changed, however, for Matteau on Sunday. This was the only game that the IceCaps lost for the week, but it was a very close game and honestly could have gone either way. They could have won this game. They lost this one to the Marlies 3-2, but Stefan Matteau had his 4th goal of the season, but his first that wasn't an empty netter. He got the IceCaps on the board first, and Chris Terry soon followed with the second goal of the game. Interesting note as well, this was Charlie Lindgren's first loss on the season. He played in all 4 of the games last week, and up until that Sunday game against Toronto, he was undefeated, going 6-0 on his first 6 starts with the IceCaps for the season. So transactions this week, there were a few of note. We did say that Daniel Carr had a couple of goals earlier on in the week. He and Joel Hanley were then both recalled to Montreal, so they are no longer with the IceCaps as of now. At the same time, they did sign to a PTO, Julien Brouillette. He has yet to see any ice time in an IceCaps sweater, but reports are saying and indicating that he should be breaking the roster, breaking the lineup at some point during this upcoming road trip. And then finally, the most recent recall happened yesterday, and that was Sven Andrighetto getting recalled to Montreal after word that Arturi Lehkonen has been placed on IR with an upper body injury. So speaking of that road trip, it starts later this week. There are 2 games this week for that road trip. That's Friday night. The IceCaps kick things off in Springfield to take on the Thunderbirds. That game is at 7 p.m. Eastern, 8:30 p.m. Newfoundland time. And then on Saturday, they return to Albany to take on the Devils. That That game starts at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, 6:30 p.m. Newfoundland time. That's it for this week's edition of the IceCaps Weekly Wrap. Thanks so much for tuning in. Don't forget to check us out on Twitter at the AHL Report. You can also find us on Instagram at AHL Report, and of course find us online for all of the week's recaps, previews, analysis, and player profiles. You can log on there at ahl.report. Thanks for watching. I'm Amy Johnson. We'll see you right here next week.